Here we are, guys, down to the last tournament today. Hasn't been a pretty day. Taking a battering. Haven't won many all-ins. This is the last shot we have at Fortune and Glory. Not even. It's only, what is it for first here? 2,500. We're in the money. The bubble just burst. And coming 12 or 15. Bubbled no, actually, I'll tell a lie, it wasn't a bubbled at final table. It was the $11 one rebuy one out on. Went deep and then lost a couple of flips and that was it. As you do. And probably would have preferred the other guy won that pot because Sizalek is a very strong player. I will go ahead and raise here. It's a pretty close one. We actually could just open shove 4-4, but I think raising is fine. Just gives us a few more options. If it goes call jam or 3-bet jam, we can fold. If it gets flattered, King Jack doesn't play too bad post. I will go for another little sneaky steal here with the Ace Deuce. Mainly because the big blind is pretty tight and short, so we get good leverage. And also because we're only sort of M8.5, so it's a little bit hard for players to 3-bet us as well. And we do have the ace blocker. Just bring out the kelp because I like to get sort of an exact. I like to get my M exact. So an M 9.5. Which is the way I would normally play if I was one-tabling, but normally I'm multi-tabling. And so I wouldn't be bringing out the calculator. Well, I mean, unless it was a big final table or something, but generally at a final table I might, but not normally with 14 left where we're 9 or 14, but it's the one tournament left, so I did stop registering today. I'd planned to play more, but I thought I was playing good, but just not getting rewarded and just not getting good spots, you know, just one of those days, you know, just things aren't going your way, and didn't really seem, feel pretty good though. I mean, I feel motivated still, but just, not that tired, but, just didn't want to, I just wanted to sort of, rather than do an epic session where you're sort of frustrated and running bad, try and get out of the hole. You know, what might happen is you just keep running bad and finish an epic session, feel completely wrecked, and still don't get out of the hole. And feel sort of even more frustrated. Interesting one here with size, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. Yeah, that goes pretty close. Problem with raising, like, you know, to 9 or 10,000. I do think he folds a decent percentage, but the problem is we're kind of a little bit short to be doing it. So it's just kind of, do we want to risk 10,000 to try and win the 9.5 out there? Well, as it was, I was going to risk 9 to win 9.5, so I would only have to work around 46 or 7% sort of thing, and I think it's pretty close to that. But there's a few problems. The first one is that if it doesn't work, we kind of cripple our stack a bit. You know, we're only left with, even though we're only talking about 2.5 M, we can't really spare 2.5 M. We're only M8.5, so you know we're going to go down to M6. And so I just decided, rather than to do that, just to maintain the stack, rather than take that one. Although I do think it's pretty close. I think it's pretty borderline. It might work often enough to be profitable. And we do need to keep trying to accumulate chips because we're 10 or 14. I will just fold that one. This guy doesn't seem like he gets too out of line. Seems actually like probably the tightest player on the table. Actually, most of the other players are quite loose. Everyone's loose except Tranquil Mind's pretty solid. And this guy that just 3-bet us seems very tight. We only have 135 hands on him though, but we have a lot of hands on the other guys. 6k, 3k, 2k, 4k, 500. So we've got a lot of hands on these guys. So we've got pretty good information. This Roman guy's pretty loose, bit of a fish. My note says super donk. Sizalik does solid volume, always plays really good. Good meta game, just good all around. Tranquil Mind, a little bit on the tight side. In general, doesn't always read the action fantastically well, but definitely a good player and someone to be a little bit wary of. And this guy, I just don't really know anything about him, even though we've got 2,000 hands on him, which is kind of a lot of hands to have on someone without having any note at all. That's probably kind of rare. We do really need to kind of step up to the plate now because we're 11 of 14 and with time's running out. We do still have 14 minutes for the next level, but I think the blinds just went up, so they're going to be 1250, 2500, yeah, with a 250 ante. So we really need to try and get some chips and get set up for the final table. Prefer to be getting to the final table as not one of the short stacks, if we can. Prefer to be getting there set up so we can abuse medium stacks ideally, and that's just going to increase our chance of winning, you know. I wouldn't say tenfold, but, you know, considerably. If we can get enough chips to get up to sort of M, you know, I'm talking like M14, 14-ish, 15-ish, 16-ish ideally. That's an M size where, you know, you can really do some damage. You can put sort of M9s and 10s and stuff under a lot of pressure at the final table. If they open, you can 3-bet, and if there's a couple of shorter stacks out there, which there's going to be, and there inevitably is, you know, they're under a bit of pressure. So we've got the 10-7 here, which is a PN of 6. 6 is a little bit lower than I thought. You can see Sizalik just raising every hand now, and I think it's a pretty good strategy because we're short, so we're playing pretty tight. Tranquil Mind's pretty tight. The big blind now is pretty tight. And the two guys behind him could 3-bet, Roman and Fun Killers. But they haven't been 3-betting too much. But they're certainly capable of 3-betting pretty wide, especially Fun Killers. He just 3-bet then, and he could have had a lot of, you know, could do that with a pretty wide range. So we're just in that sort of difficult sort of spot at the moment where, you know, we've got this information, all this information on the players and that sort of thing, but we're not really in a position to use it too much because we're just short. And so we just got to try and play a good short stack game and be patient and just hope, you know, just hope that something good happens. I think 5, 10, 15, 20, yeah. I mean, this is a pretty easy one to take, I guess. PN of 32, A7 off even has a PN of... so 32 for A7 suited, 22 for A7 off. We're only M5, so we only need a PN of 20. And a few more like that would be good, just to give us a little bit of... really want to try and stay up to where we are now, because if we lose many more chips, we don't have a lot of fold equity on 3-bets. Prefer to have a little bit of fold equity on 3-bets. You normally need at least... Well, I mean, you can jam 3-bet someone with M3 or 4. You know, and if they've got complete garbage, they're going to probably fold. But if they've got sort of a bit of a decent hand, you know, like a King 10, and you jam M sort of 4.5, 5 on them, a lot of times they still call because of the pot odds. And so it's nice to have sort of around M6 or 7, just so you get that extra fold equity, so that if you are jamming a hand like, you know, 10-jack suited or, you know, Ace 5 off, you do get those hands that have a bit of equity against you to fold. You know, we might jam 4s at M, you know, 6.5 and get, you know, like a 10-jack suited to fold, or, you know, Ace Deuce might even fold or something, and that sort of thing. So, not that we really mind Ace Deuce calling with when we've got 4s, but yeah, I mean, mostly there's, you know, King Jack. I mean, the King Jack's getting pretty close. I mean, I think if we 3-bet jam M6.5 against Sizalik. Sizalik, I think he's going to probably call King Jack, actually. I think he probably does. He knows that we know he's opening a lot, and he probably perceives us to be likely to attack fairly wide. And we just really haven't had many opportunities to. I mean, he's probably going to open here. And I mean, even like a Jack 8 suited, I would probably shove here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I mean, even like a Jack 8 suited, probably. Any pair. Probably not now. That has been 4-bet jammed. It looks like Roman might have 6s or something. Oh, he's got the Ace King. Wow. That's, wow. And he gets sucked out on. Wow. So he just made a big shove there with that. Probably worthwhile putting a little note on him there. He was well, it was only M7 or 8, 7.5, I guess. It's kind of annoying, you know, this just... Yeah, I mean, both guys played that fine. It's just annoying we haven't had... even last hand, you know, if it had folded around, you know, we could jam first in, and... I mean, these guys are all pretty aggressive, so... Well, I mean, aggressive-ish. The problem is we've got the two guys that like to raise a lot on our right, Fun Killers and Sizalik, so... The chance of being first in is pretty low, because they're just opening relentlessly, and we're not really waking up with a hand that we can 3-bet jam with, you know, just really trashy hands. So, you know, we're just being patient, and hopefully we'll wake up with a couple of hands, or get it in bad and just suck out. It's always it's a nice way to do it. Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, 9-7 suited, I guess I probably would have folded. M6, 12, 18, yeah, just 9-10 suited, would have just shoved there. 8-9 suited. 8-9 suited, shove 7-8 suited, probably fold. It's kind of right on, I think. It's a funny thing, you know, because you've got to adjust to the short-handedness, because in the case of you know, short-handed play and effective M sizes in terms of how long before you get blinded out. You've heard me talk about this in other videos where there's a system where Dan Harrington, basically a simplified version is just to times your M by the number of players that have been removed from the table, sort of thing. Sorry, by the number of players that are left. So if you have M10 here, you times it by 6, and you have an M, you know, by 0.6, you have an effective M of 6. If you have M10, it's more like an M6, because with only 6 players, the blinds come around a lot quicker. That's a kind of very rough shot version of Harrington's system. I believe it's a little bit too sort of... It just forces you to play a little bit too aggressively, I think, a little bit too recklessly if you use that system. It's definitely good for you know, highlighting, making people aware of the fact that when you are in short-handed play, blinds come around super quick and you don't have a lot of time to pick and choose. But I think it's a little bit too much. Obviously, going to be a pretty good spot here. This is probably the one guy that we would prefer not to be jamming on, because we haven't really seen him hardly open at all. Interesting that he just open jams. 3, 4, 5, 7. Wow. I don't really know what does that. King Jack and King Queen, maybe King Queen suited. It feels like he has 5s or 6s or 7s, maybe 8s or 9s, but I can't see him doing it with 10s up. You wouldn't think. Ace 9 he might, Ace 10 he might. It's a pretty close one. We haven't really seen this from this guy, so I'm not really sure what it means, but he does need a PN at M7 of 21, and Ace 8 only has a PN itself of 24. So I'm going to fold. It's pretty close because we are short and we need to get chips. You know, that's what makes it kind of closer. It's just the fact that we are kind of short. You know, if we had the same stack size as him, then it'd probably be a little bit of an easier fold, but the fact that we're short as well. And he might factor that in, you know, when he's thinking about jamming. I mean, he's probably not using a PN system like we are. That's accurate, but even if he's using a system where he's saying, okay, I've got 2 guys behind and 1 short stack kind of thing, rather than just thinking, you know, with 40k or whatever, he's had 35, saying, okay. I mean, that's a small factor, although we're not that far behind him, I guess, so he might not, probably not that much of an issue since we cripple him anyway. But what I'm really saying is that if he had M20, you know, and Sozalek's got M20, Fun Killers and we only have M4, I mean, he's not thinking, you know, okay, I need a big hand to jam here. Not that you would jam at M20, but as an extreme example. You know, he's not thinking I need a PN of 60 to jam. You know, you would adjust to the stack sizes behind effectively. So you'd say I've got an M of 20 and an M of 4 and an M of 4. And if you were playing a shovel fold game, you could look more at jamming, you know, an M28 type of hand. And that really comes into play, you know, significantly. A lot of the times you might have, let me just shove this, a hand like this, you know, a hand like 6s. Now imagine here we had like M12, but it was like, we'll say we had M10, Tranquil Mind had 9, and these guys were all M4, you know. We might just shove it, because now we've only got sort of maybe an effective sort of pan of closer to 20, which could be very significant. Especially say Pocket 2s has a pan of 28. And let's say we were UTG here with M. Well, let's just say we had 5s, you know, and a pan of 10. We'd need a pan of, an M of 10. We'd have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We'd need a pan of 50. And, you know, 5s only has a pan of 44. So it's going to be a fold. If we had 6s, 6s is a pan of 51. So that's pretty borderline. But using my, you know, 10% extra rule that I like to use, I'd say, okay, we need a pan of 50. 10% on top of that is 55. Really ideally looking for a pan of 55 above to be thinking about, you know, jamming profitably. And 6s only has a pan of 51, so we can fold it. Of course, you're not normally going to be jamming that deep, obviously, but just as an example. And so what about though if Tranquil Mind had M9 and then the other guys were all M3? You know, now you can say, okay, 9, and then 12, 15, 18, 21. And now you can start to say, okay, well, actually, this is looking more like an easy jam, even though you've got the same number of players behind just based on the stack size. And that's a sort of a M adjustment, PN adjustment that you can make. It doesn't exactly carry across like that, because, you know, more players still mean more chance that someone wakes up with a big hand, like big tamale here that we've got. But at the same time, you can sort of apply that principle in a loose sort of way to get you jamming more effectively. I think just jamming is the way to go here. Not getting too cute. It'd be pretty annoying if he folds because we're only M6. I don't think flatting. I mean, flatting is not too bad. Again, if we're, you know, but it's just, yeah, not really necessary. I mean, M6 from small blind. He hasn't opened that much, so I expect to get a decent percentage of calls. You know, from hands like 7s and 10s, and you know, we've got the ace blockers. He's probably got a hand like, you know, Jack Queen or something, King Jack, King 10 suited. 4, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think just jamming in here. Definitely he can call with ace 9, ace 10, ace Jack. He can call with ace Queen of diamonds. And we had to sweat that one out, didn't we? We had to sweat that one out, but we managed to fade it. I thought on the flop maybe we were going to get there, running clubs. That's usually the way they do it, but... yeah, I think he's going to call any pair, King, Queen suited, probably ace 9 up. Definitely going to respond to the 3-bet jam there at our stack size. He's going to call pretty loosely. He certainly doesn't mind getting chips in the middle, that player Fun Killers. quite loose. So we're just bobbing and weaving. Picked up a couple of hands, got a few chips. No big double ups, just doing it the hard way. Yeah, I mean, it definitely got some good 3-betting opportunities against Fun Killers and Sizalik too, but he's getting a bit short now. And stealing opportunities abound too, with the players that we have to our left, just kind of in that awkward spot. Be kind of good now just to lose Sizalik, Pasalik, however you want to say that. Be good to lose him. It'd be good for us to bust him, go up to sort of 70. Wow. Going to be hard to win that one now for Ace Jack. As you can see, you know, as I was saying, we haven't seen Tranquil Mind open too much, been pretty solid. I think that's a strategy that's okay at this point. I mean, he's coming fourth, and he's got sort of some pretty loosish guys behind him. So he doesn't really need to go out of his way to sort of go after anyone too much. I mean, loosish guys that, you know, are raising before him that probably he's going to get in some pretty profitable situations with, potentially. So, I mean, you could go either way. That's pretty annoying. I mean, these guys seem to be playing pretty well. You know, I thought we might get one through against that guy just because he's a bit tighter, and we're only M7. We've got the King 7. I think Tranquil Mind's going to fold a lot, but I just wasn't sure about the big blind, but he does seem to be folding a fair bit. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow. 7. I think 7, 6. I think we're going to have to take this one. Wow, it's kind of gross though. It does open. What's he opening here? I think I'll wait. Whoa, what timing. Tranquil Mind has woken up with jacks here. Queens. Kings. Queens, kings. Ace Jack. We would have... Wow, that's interesting, isn't it? What would have happened there? That's... What would have happened there? That's kind of an interesting one, isn't it? Try and work that out. We should jam 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4, 8. We jam M5. I think Tranquil Mind, if we jam, comes over the top and just shoves. In fact, I'd say almost definitely does. I can't imagine, even though he's a little bit on the tight side, him folding against my jam there from the cutoff against the aggressive opener at M6-ish with Ace Jack. He's going to have us dominated a lot. And he's not so deep that he's that worried about the players behind, because he's only got around M10, so definitely an easy shove isolation play. M4, Queen 4 is 5. I will take it. Only one player to beat. It's obviously not great. But that's a time when, you know, I will probably take kind of right on the PN, particularly because he's probably not quite defending with the right range too, which is a little bit better for our jam, makes it a little bit more profitable. So we would have probably lost. Tranquil Mind, it's hard to imagine him folding Ace Jack. But if he did, I'm pretty sure the other guy's going to call with his King Queen, and then we would have got there with a smaller straight, but 6 to 10 straight. But I just don't think Tranquil Mind is ever going to fold Ace Jack in that spot. It would be a pretty bad play, in my opinion. I think it's a pretty easy. I think it's a fist pump jam. And I mean, you could tell he was so confident against the first opener that he made sort of a very inducive small raise, hoping to get jammed on. And, you know, I think you heard me put him on a very strong hand because of the sizing of the raise. It looked so inducive. You heard me think he had big pairs. But having said that, sorry guys, I would just flat the king queen suited, I think, rather than jam it. Just because I feel like we're going to be crushed a lot. He's going to have like ace king, you know, queens, jacks. I mean, jacks isn't crushed, but you know what I mean. It's never going to be good. It's never going to be a great situation. I mean, he's lucky to be up against the hand he was, ace jack with king queen. But I actually think getting the price, because it was such a small inducive 3-bet, I actually would have just called for the 7,000 and, you know, just tried to hit and then just played it from there. I think it's actually okay to be doing that because you're getting pretty good pot odds. And you're not really so deep that you're that concerned about being, you know, dominated once in a while. I mean, he wasn't that deep where it was going to be some ridiculous, you know, stack off if it came like, you know, queen 7-5 and he calls, you know, down 3 big streets and gives max value. That's never going to happen. It's just going to probably go in on the flop and that's it. If he's got it, ace queen or kings or something, he's got it. But, yeah. I think that hand, particularly too, flops well. You know, you're really going to know where you're at on the flop, which is the advantage too. I mean, the flop's going to come, you know, jack 5-7, and you're going to check, and he's going to bet, and you're just going to fold because you're always behind. And when you do flop top pair at the same time, Tranquil Minds 3-bet is kind of really going to make it a very awkward. Wow, jack 6 is really going to make it a very awkward SPR post. You know, for himself. So, you know, if it had have come... Check this one again here. I got a feeling he's calling this time with king 10, with ace deuce, with 10 queen, with 10 jack suited, with jack 9. The longer he thinks, the worse his hand gets. I think he's got jack 9 suited. Jack 10 off. This could be nasty. He's got us dominated. Oof, king 9. That's a borderline slow roll. Where's all the diamonds around here? Jack. Hey, yeah, he slow rolled us. Yeah, easy call with the king 9 suited there. So we just final table bubbled. And that's very disappointing. But just couldn't get anything going on there. We fought, I think, as hard as we could, trying to pick up chips and steals and that sort of thing, and dodged a bullet with the a6 and... yeah, just, you know, frustrating. We still, I mean, today, end result there, it would have been nice to, you know, get a couple of, up the top few positions. We still picked up at least something in the end there, 240 for that one. But, yeah, very disappointing day. I felt, I played pretty solid all day. You know, what can you do? All you can do is try and play your best. And I think if you do that, you've got to finish the day in a fairly positive note. You know, I got to feel pretty okay with the way I played. I didn't play, you know, my AA game, but I felt like I didn't dunk any stacks around, which is always a good thing. So, yeah, I mean, day done. Didn't work out well, but we just, you just got to wait for your time, you know, just sort of tick that one off and say, okay, it wasn't today, but we played okay. Play good again tomorrow. If you keep putting away good days, eventually you have to get rewarded. And so you just got to stay positive. And so this is Aces Up, signing off.